Hello, this is Pilates session number 1 for the beginners. Okay, so if you've never done Pilates before, then this is the session for you. Okay, if you want an easy workout, that's also the option to take. All right, if you've got a ball, pause and go and get yourself a ball and bring it back. All right, because a ball will help. Okay, this is Marcus. He'll be joining us every now and then, no doubt, to come and help us along. So if you've got a ball, great. But if you haven't got a ball, don't worry. You don't necessarily need it, all right, to perform this. So we're going to start off. If I can ask you to bring your legs in together like you're crossing your legs. And we're going to start off with the most important thing in Pilates, and that's the lateral thoracic breath. So what we do is we place our hands around our ribs here, underneath the chest plate, and I want you to bring your 2 middle fingers together. All right. Now, when we breathe in Pilates, we breathe laterally around the rib cage. So I want you to increase the width of your rib cage by breathing into the sides, and your 2 middle fingers will part. And on the exhale, the rib cage deflates and the middle fingers come back together. We breathe into the nose. The rib cage expands with air, and on the exhale through the mouth, the middle fingers come back together. Now, this is a really important part of Pilates. We have to breathe here into the back of the body like fish, rather than into the belly, because I want you to breathe into the rib cage deeply and keep your belly button pulling in slightly. Okay, so that's quite a challenge, and it will come with practice. So just be aware of that. We want to breathe here, and we want to keep the belly slightly pulled in. And when I say the belly slightly pulled in, it is literally that. You're pulling your belly button away from the skin and in towards your spine. And if you can visualize a horizontal sheath of fibers around your spine, okay, it's like a pole that's lengthening your body. The crown of your head is the top, and we lengthen that up to the ceiling, but you've got to wrap those horizontal sheath of transverse abdominis muscles around your spine. And the way to activate them is by pressing the on button. We pull the belly in, and that will activate them, okay? So be aware of that, yeah? That will lengthen you. And while we do that, we keep our shoulders down as much as possible away from the ears, and we focus on the muscles in between our shoulder blades. So think about your 2 shoulder blades behind you like 2 hearts. Yeah, the top of a heart, and try and bring it into the base of the heart. So you're drawing your shoulder blades together into a soft V into the base of the spine. And we kind of think about holding a 5-pound note in between your shoulder blades and try not to let it fall. And that will automatically open the chest and stop the rounded shoulder approach with the abdominals now sinking. This is how we normally tend to be if we're not working our muscles. So we pull our belly in to lengthen. Yeah, just 20-30% is all that is required here. And we just draw those shoulder blades into that soft V. And automatically now we've lengthened a couple of inches. I want you to breathe into your nose, and we're going to roll the shoulders forward and up and exhale back and down. Now, option here, put your hands on your shoulders. If it's easier to bring your legs out in front of you, do that as well, wherever feels comfortable. We'll do one more here, breathing into the nose and out through the mouth. Now we go the other direction. We go back up, forward and down. Breathing into the nose and out through the mouth. Then keep the length by breathing into your rib cage. Keep the belly slightly pulled in. There's a lot of things to think about in Pilates. Okay, now let's do long levers. We're going to inhale and elevate both arms. And we exhale out to the sides with resistance. Now try and keep the shoulders down as you elevate the arms. And the way to do that is to think about what the muscle we're working. It's the muscle here, the latissimus dorsi. We take it up to the outer armpit, and then we squeeze it on the way down. Let's go the other direction. We go out to the sides and exhale through the center. Keep that 5-pound note in between your blades. Inhale through the nose, exhale, and keep the belly lifted and the shoulders down. Exhale through the center. Now we're going to take up your left arm, breathing in, and we place the hand on the opposite leg as we exhale over. Inhale through the nose, exhale other side. So we're now stretching the sides of the body. breathing into your nose to restart the spine from the belly. Now when you go over, we want the elbow bent and the elbow in line with your ear. So we don't want to be coming forward. Ideally we're in two panes of glass behind us and in front of us, and we don't want to change that. Yeah, we want a nice single line with our body. And pull the belly in to restack the spine. Exhale, other side. Drop the head and shoulders and feel the stretch from your armpits all the way to your hips. And come back to the center. And now we're going to bring our chin to our chest and squeeze our throat, and we're going to walk those hands forward. Now drop the head completely and focus on the crown of your head reaching forward away from the tailbone that's at the bottom of your spine, the coccyx. Yeah, so we stretch. Now keep the sit bones in the floor and stretch the crown of the head away in opposition. Walk the hands back to the center. Beautiful. Now, we're going to go all the way to the floor now. So when you're ready, we're going to bring the legs out in front of us. We're going to put our hands around our hamstrings. And we're going to take a deep inhale here. Now, if you've got your ball, you can put that ball in between your legs as high as you can up those legs. And you squeeze that ball. And when you squeeze that ball, you're activating your inner thighs. And we are also now thinking about bringing our rib cage down towards our hips. Bring the ribs to the hips. Pull down, you know, like two blinds. Sitting up nice and tall, take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, squeeze the ball, pull the belly button in, tuck the tailbone underneath the bottom, bring your ribs down towards your hip bones, place the hands around your legs, your neck and shoulders are relaxed, and you're rounding that lower back and taking it down to the floor. Squeeze the ball, pull the belly in, and take the head and shoulders down, and bring your legs further up. Now, you'll be looking at your knees, your hips, okay? And I want you to think about your heels being underneath your knees and in line with your sit bones, okay? Which is behind your bottom. We don't want the legs together. We don't want them out too far. Hip distance. Okay, and if you've got that ball there, you can squeeze that ball. You don't need the ball, but if you haven't got the ball, you're not going to be with your legs together. Make sure they're hip distance, okay? Arms will be by the sides, nice and relaxed with the neck and shoulders. Now, we'll do a pelvic tilt here, and I'm going to move my arm out of the way so you can see my spine. When we start off, we have a little lower gap, a little gap here in the lower back, and that's normal. That's your neutral spine, a little lordosis or a little curve in that lumbar region, okay? When we come into a shoulder bridge, we start with a pelvic tilt, and that involves tucking your tailbone, yeah, that coccyx, that little bony bit on the bottom of your spine, underneath your bottom. Now pull your belly in and your lower back hits the floor. Now we're going to squeeze the bottom cheeks together and peel that bottom off the floor. Then the lower back, middle back and upper back. And now we're hoisting those hips up to the ceiling, but we're working through the bottom and the hamstrings. This is the work. If you're feeling in your back, just drop a little bit, yeah? It should be here. Now, we're breathing into the rib cage and we're nice and relaxed in our neck and shoulders, all 5 toes planting into the floor equally with the heel. Take a deep inhale here into the rib cage, and on your exhale, we're going to bring the upper back down first. We pull the belly button in and we bring the middle back down and then the lower back, and then we flick the tail back to neutral. So let's do that again. We tuck the tailbone underneath the bottom, the lower back hits the floor, and then we peel the spine. Now, if you haven't been doing this before, it's going to be difficult. You're going to struggle to get that articulation, that movement in each part of the spine. You won't find that your body's coming down in lots of segments. It'll be coming down in one go. Don't worry, this comes with practice. But get the pelvic tilt. You've got to tuck the tailbone underneath the bottom so that your pubic bone is coming higher than your belly. And peel the spine. Pushing into the heels. And exhale. Now, if you're not quite getting that pelvic tilt, if you're not getting it, then I'm going to show you another way of doing it. If you've got it, carry on with those shoulder bridges for me. Otherwise, I want a diamond. I want you to put your index fingers on your pubic bone and your thumbs onto your belly button. And I want you to imagine that you've got a marble in between that diamond. And place your index fingers on the pubic bone, the thumbs on the belly. And I want you to imagine that marble's in the middle here. And when you tuck the tail under, the index fingers come higher than the belly. Yeah? So we come up. Now when we come back down, okay, and we flick the tailbone back to neutral, the thumbs come higher than the index fingers. So you can just stay here and just do that movement, that pelvic tilt,
where the thumbs come higher than the index fingers and that marble drops down to the index fingers, and then we tuck the tail under, and then the pubic bone comes higher than the thumbs and the marble comes towards your belly. That is the pelvic tilt. Okay, now we're going to do one more. We're going to tuck the tail under. We're going to squeeze our glutes together like we're cracking a couple of walnuts in those cheeks, and we're going to stay up in the shoulder bridge. Look from left to right with your neck and shoulders, making sure that you're nice and relaxed here, because all the work is happening here. Now we look ahead at our hips and our knees. We don't look at the sky. So we've got to squeeze our throat like we've got a double chin. See if now you can keep everything still here and take your arms over your head. If it's too much, you can keep your arms by your sides. So now we're stretching the whole anterior chain of the body, and the back of the body is doing all the work. And that's very different to how we normally live our lives, which is why this is quite challenging. Now we're going to bring those arms down by our sides, keep those hips nice and still, keep the length and the lift up through the bottom. Take a deep inhale, and we're going to come down again on our exhale. Now keep the hips up as high as you can as you bring the upper back down first. Pull the belly in, and then the middle back, and then the lower back, and flick the tail back to neutral. Hands behind the head, we bring our chin to our chest, our ribs to our hips, and it doesn't matter about how high. Think about your lower back in the mat, and inhale to lower. We exhale for 2, chin to chest first, rib to hip, look down. We've got a little plum in between our chin and our chest. Exhale 3, and lower. Exhale 4, so we never stop moving, chin to chest, rib to hip, the shoulders stay down. Inhale back. Let's do 5 more. Breathing into the nose, exhaling through the mouth, chin to chest, rib to hip. Elbows stay in peripheral vision, but they stay wide. Don't bring them in, because all you're working then is the chest, okay? And let's do, I think we've got about another couple more. Exhale. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. And 9. And 10. Chin to chest, ribs to hip. Now see if you can bring your arms down by your side. Drop the shoulders away from your ears. Keep that 5-pound note there. Hold for 5. And 4. Can you go a little bit higher? And 2. And 1. Oh, that was a good burn in that abdominal area. Now, what I'd like you to start off by doing is just being aware of how we work the legs. This is real beginners here. I'm really taking you back to the start. We've got to imagine a cable from our belly button to that knee, okay? The belly button to the knee, there's a cable. And the cable has a pulley around your belly button. The pulley is here, okay? So when the cable is slack, we can't really move the leg. So we're going to tighten up the cable by pulling the belly button in. So pull the belly button in and tighten the cable, and that will then draw the leg up to a 90-degree bends. So we inhale to lower, and on your exhale, pull the belly button in, and imagine you're pulling that leg up from a drawbridge at your belly. Inhale, tap. Exhale, pull up. Now as we do this, I want you to focus on the breath. We inhale lower, we exhale pull up. If you prefer to exhale up and inhale lower, that's entirely up to you. As long as there's one breath for each movement, and you're looking at your knees, so you've got a double chin. Let's do 5 more. And I want you now to make sure that your lower back is lengthened into the mat. We're breathing into the belly. Sorry, we're breathing into the rib cage, keeping the belly intact. Now this should feel quite comfortable. You know, you shouldn't feel like there's too much effort going on here, but you've got to concentrate on that cable. We pull from the belly to lift the leg up. Don't use your hip flexor, and lower down. We're going to do the other leg. So we pull the belly button in, and we pull that cable, tighten it up, and it comes up like a drawbridge. Inhale, tap, or exhale, tap, and the other breath pulls you up. If you want to lift your head and shoulders to work more into your six-pack muscles, you can. All right, but get the analogy of the cable pulling up from your belly, because we can quite easily work from the hip flexor. But if you work from here, then it will become, everything will go to pear-shaped once we start taking you further. So work from the belly. We pull up from the belly. Relax the neck and shoulders. And let's do 4 more. Working with the breath. See if you can go up a little bit higher to make it more challenging. Option, keep their head and shoulders on the floor. Now, beautiful. Let's do that now. We're going to go back to the one leg on its own, the left leg. Now what I want you to do is I want you to keep your lower back into the floor by bringing your ribs down towards your hip bones. So pull those lower ribs down to the hip bones like blinds. Hands go behind the head and lift the head and shoulders and see if that other leg can come up. Tabletop. Now, you've got to breathe into the rib cage, because if you're breathing into the belly, your lower back will start arching and it will hurt your back. It's got to be a belly pulled in all the time, just 20%. Now, the legs don't drop. If they're starting to drop, you're not working your core. You've got to hug your thigh muscles around your bones here, and you've got to keep those calves on an imaginary coffee table. The legs point now, the toes point, sorry, and we're going to tap one toe down to the floor, and we exhale, lengthen and lift. Now, the other leg does not move. The other leg should not shift forward. We keep one leg completely still while the other leg drops. Let's do a couple more. And if you feel that this is a little bit too easy for you, take the toe a bit further away from you. Take that toe further away. Keeping that belly pulled in. And one more. Oh, got cramp. And there we go. And lovely, well done. Bring your knees into your chest and perform lumbar circle rolls. So, it's going right back to basics, but the idea is here that you're learning things that will stay with you for life, okay? So you've got to make sure that your ribs are pulled down towards your hip bones, your shoulders are pulled away from your ears, you're breathing laterally, your legs stay strong, okay? And we want to take it a little bit further now. So let's see if we can take the head and shoulders off the floor if you can, and bring those legs up to tabletop. This time we're going to take the leg out at an angle. We're going to drive one leg out. Now this leg stays over your hip. It does not kick in. Now you pull the belly button in to draw that leg back. The other leg doesn't move. We inhale out, stretch, and you pull it in. Now the lower you go, the more challenging. So you can always go higher to make it easier. And bend on your next breath. Otherwise lower, but you've got to keep that lower back in the floor. Bring your rib to hip connection in place, yeah? You can lift a little bit higher to make it more challenging on your six-pack muscles. And that's it. Now, the common problem here is that we bring one knee in, and that's not what we're doing here, yeah? The other leg stays here, and now your lower abdominals are really having to work hard. And if you want to work the upper abdominals, you come a bit higher. Let's do a couple more. And one more. Stretch that leg out, pull it in, and bring those knees in again. Well done. So that fires even my abdominals really kicking in there. That really works well. The basics are the most important ones to do. So that's what we're going to start doing today. Obviously, we're going to build up those rectus abdominals and transverse abdominals as we go through the weeks, okay? But you practice that, and that will give you everything that you need to work on any abdominal exercise. Let's come on to our sides now, and I want you to lay out on the floor, and you're going to bring your legs, you're going to have your shoulders in line with your hips, and you're going to bring your legs slightly forward at an angle to the front corners of the mat, but make sure that your armpit and your hip are in the same plane. You can take everything down to the floor, and you may want to put your top hand on the floor, okay? Otherwise you can balance. Now I need you to pull your belly in to lift up your side muscles, yeah? Lift up here, your waist. We don't want to sink. So keep the belly slightly pulled in. We're going to lift that top leg, all right? And we're going to lift that top leg, and what I want you to do is I want you to kick it forward on your inhale, and on your exhale you point the toe and you pull behind, getting a hip flexor stretch. Now don't arch the back, keep the tailbone tucked under. We inhale, kick forward, and we exhale, pull behind us. Inhale, kick forward, and exhale, pull the belly behind. Now, we're not moving the hips, we're keeping everything nice and still. And 5, kicking forward and pointing the toe behind. Keep the tail tucked. So we're getting a hamstring stretch and then we're getting a hip flexor stretch. So we're really working through the leg muscles here. We're stretching them out. And we're also strengthening your upper thigh here because it's staying off the floor. Kick, kick, kick with a flexed heel and point the toe behind. I've lost count here, but I think we're on about 8 now. So we're going to keep the leg up at hip height. And now I want you to lift it up to the ceiling with a pointed toe and flex on the way down. We inhale, lengthen that leg, stretch, and exhale down. And don't let the top leg hit the bottom leg. Keep it slightly off the bottom leg like you're just about to touch a weight stack, but you're not quite touching it. So you're having to work that outer thigh. 5, we exhale and we inhale. We're nice and relaxed in the neck and shoulders, but we're pulling the belly button in to keep us balanced. Okay, option, you can keep that hand on the floor, but try not to put any tension into that shoulder. Flex on the way down and do a couple more. I'll keep losing count here. And let's hold it up. We're going to hold here and come into circle. Nice big circle. Now you may need to put the hand on the floor here because we want a pointed toe and we're going forward, down, out and up. Now let's go in the other direction. We're going to go back, down, forward and up. And 4. And 3. Now that outer thigh, depending on how high that leg is going, should be really beginning to work now. Relax the neck and shoulders and put all the work into the belly. Last one here, and take that leg down to the floor. Let's go over to the other side. So we make sure our armpit is in line with our hips, yeah? So we're in the same plane with our ears, shoulders and hips, but the legs come slightly forward. Okay, now we lift that top leg and we're going to kick forward. Flexed heel, hamstring stretch into hip flexor stretch. Now keep the tail tucked so you're not arching that lower back. And forward for 7. Exhale. And 6. Relaxing the neck and shoulders, pull the belly button in. And think about wrapping the thigh muscles around that bone like chicken drumsticks, so we're getting a nice strong leg, but we're also now stretching it out around the pelvis. And let's do a couple more. Pull, pull, lengthen. We're focusing on length. So drive the heel away from the bottom and the toe away from the groin. Let's do one more and back. Let's go up, inhale, flex the heel down. The higher we can go, obviously, the more challenging, and we're trying to keep that leg straight. So don't worry if we're not going that high today. Yeah, this will come with practice. And 5, yeah, we're getting the outer thigh here. We're trying to keep the hips stacked. We don't want to wobble as much as we can by pulling that belly in. The core stays strong. Let's do a couple more here. And 7, we want to look forward rather than down, so we're keeping that cervical spine in line with the rest of the body. Now let's come into our circles. I have to put my hand down at this point on the floor, pointed toe, and drawing the biggest circle you can, but try not to arch that back, keep the tail tucked. Then let's go in the other direction. We go forward, up, back and down, forward, up, back and down. Inhale and exhale. Now it's beginning to burn. And one more, and take that leg down to the floor. Well done. Okay, so, thighs done. Outer thighs, really important muscle. Now we're going to come onto our fronts. So this is quite important. If you've got any problems with your lower back, you've got to be really careful here and concentrate. It's important that you pull the belly button off the mat and you tuck the tailbone underneath the bottom. That way your hip bones are in the mat with your pubic bone, but your belly is lifted. Now this is the bottom doing the work, and automatically just by doing those things, you're feeling your bottom firing up. So tail tucked, belly in, relax the neck and shoulders. We're going to exhale and we're going to drive the right leg actively away from you. It's not about lifting, it's about lengthening. So imagine someone's got hold of your ankle and they're pulling your leg away from you. Yeah? And release. Let's do the same with the other leg. We exhale and lengthen. Inhale and lengthen the other leg, keeping the hip bones on the floor. Yeah, you must keep the hip bones equally on the mat, and you're clenching your buttocks together, your glutes, like you're cracking those nuts in those cheeks.
And we're nice and relaxed in the neck and the shoulders. So we're training the brain to work from the core muscles rather than where we may normally go, yeah? Now, if you want to, let's try both legs. If that's uncomfortable, just stick to the single leg, okay? Otherwise, drive both toes to the back wall and release. Let's go again. Drive both toes to the back wall and release. Let's go again. Squeeze your bottom, pull the belly in, tuck the tail under and release. Let's do a couple more. And one more. Now we're going to place the hands behind our back, interlace the fingers around your sacrum, elbows wide. Okay, now we're going to bring the elbows together and we're going to lengthen those arms behind us. Now squeeze your shoulder blades together with that 5-pound note and drive them down. We're going to look down all the time, but lift the nose and chin off the floor. Drive the shoulders back and open up the chest a bit more. Can the arms go higher? Drive the toes actively away and try and let your knuckles catch up to your heels. The crown of the head is going forward. Keep breathing into the rib cage. Keep the belly in, the tail tucked. And release. Beautiful, well done. Let's now slowly bring ourselves up, knees wide, toes together, and we're going to bring the arms out in front of us. Drop the forehead to the floor and focus on the crown of the head reaching forward away from the tailbone that's going in the opposite direction. This is our child's pose, and we're trying to get the groin and the armpits as low as they can go. Bend the elbows if you need to. We're trying to stretch out through the shoulders as well as the spine. Now on your exhale, we're going to round through the spine and we're going to bring those wrists underneath your shoulders. Looking slightly ahead of the hands at all times to keep the cervical spine working here, the throat muscle. Yeah, we're going to come into cat stretch. We're going to tuck the tailbone underneath your bottom. We're going to pull our belly in. We're going to round the spine as much as we can. Shoulders away from ears. Breathing in, flick the tail up, dip the lower spine, squeeze the blades back and look up. And exhale, tuck the tail under, pull the belly button in. Inhale, flick the tail up, dip the lower spine, look up, stretch your neck flexor. And one more time in our cat, round. And inhale to neutral. Neutral spine. Halfway between those 2 points. Okay, that's enough for this first session. There's so much to get through. We haven't even discussed the pelvic floor muscles yet, but that will be in our next session. Just practice what you can, and if you've got any sort of feedback or any questions, then please do get in touch. Thank you.